This is it. Hey, everybody. This is Karen Caig, LRMT with the International Center for Reiki Training, and we would like to welcome you to our LRMT Spotlight. One of the purposes of the ICRT is to support teachers of Reiki and also to support Reiki practitioners. And so we like for these little lives that we do, these spotlights, to feature our teachers, one, so that you can get to know us a little bit better, and two, to provide information or some way to help you if you're a teacher of Reiki. So today we're interviewing Jill Thiel from the Minnesota, oh wait, what is it, Jill? I don't want to mess it up.
Minnesota Reiki Center.
Yeah, Minnesota Reiki Center. I want to make sure I didn't stumble on that. And I'm really excited to talk to Jill today because she has been teaching hybrid Reiki classes. You know, this last year with the pandemic has been just insane, but it has forced us to get creative. And so Jill has been teaching hybrid classes, and I asked her if she would talk about that today, and she agreed. So Jill, tell us what exactly is a hybrid class? When you first said that, I thought, so what does that mean? A hybrid Reiki class?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different ways that you can do a hybrid class. And one would be where you would have in the morning, you would be online, or maybe you would be in person. And then for the other half, you would switch. So the way that I've been doing, one of the ways is that I'm online in the morning with my students. And then they come and we meet in person after lunch. Another way is that you could have students online and in person. And so you have a mixed class where, you have people that could join them from all over the world. But basically, you're hosting a class, with people in person. And then you have people joining remotely.
Yeah. Well, I'm really fascinated by the first one that you talked about, because that seems like that would be pretty easy to incorporate. But especially, I haven't gotten my vaccine yet. Have you gotten your vaccine?
I did. I've had both
Oh,
shots. Yes.
yay! Well, people. I mean, we're still in this mode of trying to protect ourselves. So that first way, you're able to limit the amount of contact time. So exactly what do you cover in the mornings? You say you work online in the morning and then the afternoon. So what exactly, how exactly do you divvy up what you're teaching?
Yeah, well, I found with the Reiki 1 and 2 class and the master class, I haven't done a Karuna class hybrid. I've taught those all online. But the 1 and 2, what I would do is in the morning, I would just do the lecturing part. So, you would start with, what is Reiki, the history of Reiki. You would do, if you're teaching Holy Fire, you would do that, Ocean of Holy Love experience.
Yeah.
And you would go through, I go through the Japanese Reiki ideals. I go through the Japanese Reiki techniques and just sort of whatever things that we can cover.
Right. Like the symbols and what they mean and what you use them for and all that. All of that can be done online. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And on the second day, we would cover the symbols and, how to do a complete Reiki treatment. And then when we meet in person, we would do the placement, attunement, and then hands-on. And so it goes by really quick, and then we have time for questions and such. But basically, I just split it up. And so all the stuff that would be done, the lecturing, would be done online, and then the hands-on, and then that placement is done in person. In the master class, I've done it a couple of different ways where, let's say, I've done 1 day online and then 2 days in person, or I've done it where I'll do mornings online and then afternoons in person. And then again, I just kind of break it up. So we start with the lecturing and stuff in the morning. We'll do that placement. And then if we're meeting in person, we'll do the ignition in person. That next morning, we would do an ignition online. And it's really great because with the online format, what I found is it gives people a good introduction to feel what Reiki's like online, but then they also be in person. And so what I found is that, some people really love online, some people really love in person. And every method that I've been teaching works. The online is brilliant and I absolutely love it. And with that, it's helped to evolve this hybrid model. And so living in Minnesota, where it's been helpful, is like when we get snow, and so in some of these situations where we could have bad weather, like March, and then it's really nice to have that option. And so even going forward, I will always include that. So as we go back to in person during the winter times or storms, I can just say, if we have bad weather, then we could actually start this online. And so it really helps as far as like just keeping your classes going. And everybody seems to have mostly adjusted with Zoom. And so all of that goes a lot faster now. And you can really get up and going, very quickly. It's really a lot of variety too. So it's like you're online in the morning, meet in person. People get to, it makes the day go by really fast because you're doing all of these different.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons why I started this was because of like what you had said with the limited exposure, and that people could have a safe place to eat lunch at home. And so we could all be wearing masks then when we are meeting in person. That's my personal preference. I choose to wear masks and have my students wear masks.
Yeah. And you know what else I've really loved about the online classes is like what you mentioned, like the Ocean of Holy Love experience. It seems like the students, when they're at home and they're comfortable, and it seems to me like they're having a deeper healing experience, in those things, so that they're getting to do that at home, and have it's almost like the best of both worlds that way.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I see it, is the best of both worlds.
And the eating at home.
And the,
That's great.
yeah, and I had, when the pandemic came in, we were all sort of figuring out with our classes. It was about a year ago, right? Right now
It was, exactly.
we were all figuring out what we were going to do. And, everybody switched over to online, which worked great. And as the weather got nice, I was finding that some of my students were really wanting to meet in person. And so finding this happy medium was a really great solution for some students that really did want to have some in-person and some interaction with the teacher and some other students. I found it works just as well. The only adjustment is if you haven't been teaching or working with people online, it's interesting to go back to that and to adjust back to being in. Everybody that I talk to that's like, wow, I had a client for the first time, or I was meeting with somebody, and it's just like, and it's a really wonderful experience. But it is different. It's kind of hard to believe that we used to teach classes all this way, just in person, and now we're teaching online and doing hybrid. There's a lot of
Jill, Karen, it looks like Bushman. She asked, "Do you find online ignitions as effective?"
I do.
I certainly do.
Yes, I find that they work just the same as in person, and people have the same experiences as they would in person. And so I found absolutely no difference. And what I tell people, it really just comes down to your preference. And so if you find that online learning isn't for you, and you know that about yourself, then take the class that would be best for you. But there's actually no difference in the online and the in-person and the hybrid. They all work, and they all work beautifully.
They do. They really do. In fact, I think that being in a comfortable environment, I'm sorry, as opposed to, a center, or a lot of times I'll teach in a hotel conference, room. And I think that it's quieter. They have a little more control over their environment. And I think that sometimes they have even deeper experiences, but the ignitions always work. Always. And I was a little skeptical at first. I'm always, I don't know if it's my academic background, but I'm always a little skeptical. Like, is this going to work? So Karen, yeah, I was like, is this going to work? Well, yeah. After a year of doing nothing but the online, it's been amazing. So Jill, tell me then about the second kind of hybrid class, which is not like part in the morning and then the second, the students then in person, but where you have, and I'm thinking about doing this because I'm still not ready to like jump out there, doing online with some students and a few students in person, maybe
Yeah,
just like two or three.
yeah.
So
So
how would that work?
this is another option. It'll take a little bit more in the setup on this. If you're comfortable with technology, really what you want to do is to just kind of have another setup. And so what I mean by that is like another free Zoom account, and then you'd have your current setup. And so you would set up your Zoom like you would, but then what you would do is you would have like a monitor or a TV, with another setup with another account, so you can have a camera, on your students, and then you would have a TV. So your students that are not there with you, that are online, then they become part of your group. And so then you would be able to see them through your computer. And then the students would be able to see them on the monitor, and then with the other camera set up, they would be able to see the students. And so then you could have people in your class still from all over the world. And so if you have people that are local that want to come in, but if you have students that are in other places that need to be remote, you can easily blend this class as a hybrid. And so it's not difficult to do. It just takes a little bit in getting that set up, and getting your technology and the camera and so forth, and making sure that everything is working. But it's a great solution as well. You might have people that might be sick that can't attend. And again, we have people that want to take holy fire that have various maybe health conditions and want to become teachers, and so part of this lineage is the inclusivity and the unity, that it offers. And so you can actually reach more people. So your class doesn't, everybody doesn't need to be in one place in your house or your space or online. You can blend these classes together, and have more of a diverse class with people from all over the world, classes. When you're going to go to practicing and stuff, let's say with the breakout rooms, if you have
That's what I was going to ask. Do you
oh
put the
yeah,
people who are joining from Zoom? Do you put them together and then the people in person together, or do you mix it?
you could mix it up. You could, you might if there's a couple people together, put them together first, but then with the multiple practice sessions, you might see if some of the students, mix it up and have them work with the online students, because that actually will give them practice with doing more distance Reiki. So the one thing is that students that are, coming in and taking an online class, develop more skills with the distance Reiki, because that's the way that they're practicing, and they feel more confident in
Yeah.
online class. So sometimes the students may want to practice online because it gives them the opportunity to practice with other students online as well. So depending on how many people you have, you can kind of figure out how you want to do that. But that's how I would do that.
I love what you said about that, because the holy fire energy really is about unity consciousness. So that's beautiful. And the other thing is, when practicing online, it has, when I was a Reiki, say 2 practitioner, I knew that distance Reiki worked and everything, but we didn't really work with it a lot, not like we do with the online class. And so that's again is really getting the best of both worlds and expanding, our view of that. We've had a conversation going on over here a little bit, and I'm not sure I can answer. So Karen asked, like I think she's talking about like the Usui Tibetan or some of the other lineages. So holy fire ignitions are hands off, and so it's kind of interesting. I think that it was kind of preparing us for what was coming with the pandemic. That those have been hands off ignitions, and so that has been easier. But she asked, um, like, how are you familiar, Jill, with the Usui Tibetan distant attunements? Those aren't ignitions, but those are attunements.
Oh,
I know that
the other
I
online.
imagine they would do it like just like you do a distant thing. We both used to do Usui Tibetan, right,
Yes,
Jill? Didn't
yes.
Yeah, and so yeah, that attunement process was more hands on, like at the back of the body and the front of the body. And I imagine that you just use a proxy. Is that how that goes? Do you know, Jill?
I didn't take William's webinar on that, but there is a webinar where he has upgraded the Sui Tibetan practitioners to be able to do online. And I believe you're visualizing the students in a chair, and so you're doing a visualization with the actual attunement,
That's what I figured.
like what you said. Yep.
Yeah, that's what that. And we have someone else. Mary asked, "Do you still?" Whoops, it jumped. Do you still have the in-person students practice on each other on Reiki tables? What did the online people do during that time? Oh, so go ahead, Jill.
The yeah. So we did kind of talk about this,
Yeah,
which
I think she might have missed that.
yep.
I'm
So
sorry.
I would decide on if there's a couple online students, they may practice together, but I also might have in-person students practice with online because
Mhm.
for the to practice with online because that's good experience. And then I do have students get on tables. I don't dress my tables with sheets and things like
Linens.
that in the class. Yeah, I mean, and so we use the barbicide to clean it and so forth. So everything's sanitized in between. But we are working on tables, and then most students are choosing to just not be making physical contact with.
Right. And Mary, you may not have we Zoom, if you teach through Zoom, that allows you to make breakout rooms where you can put like pairs, 2 or 3 students together in a separate room, and they can practice either with a proxy or we've also done like this beaming through the Zoom has been amazing. Sometimes if it's a really small class, we'll do that all together some. So it's working with people online. It's a little bit of adjustment at first, but it's after a while you forget that you're not in the same room with people. It's
I agree.
And I would imagine these hybrid classes would be even more, that you've got people here, then you're just looking at them on the screen. And one thing about this last year is like, I think I knew in my mind, like, oh, of course we're all connected and everything. But this last year has shown me, like, no, seriously, we're all connected. I mean, we are literally connected. And I've felt that. So,
Good. Mary said that helps. Great, Mary.
good. Okay. Well, Jill, I really appreciate you taking your time to talk with us about the hybrid classes. And if any of you have any questions, go ahead, and if you're watching this on the replay, because I know we do these live, but a lot of times you catch it on the replay. Go ahead and we're going to keep an eye on it. Just type your question in there, and we'll try to get back to you and write an answer. Jill's website is running across the bottom here. Just look at it, and you can go check out her classes. Anything else you want to add, Jill?
No, I think that's it. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any additional questions, or Karen as well. And thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing
Thank you.
about your hybrid classes as well.
Your hybrid adventures.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let the adventures continue.
exactly.
All right. We love you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Love to you all.
Okay.